A Bonny romance could have gone either way for me. Being Scottish, there are certain things that I find very entertaining when non-Scottish people try and portray Scottish culture, and generally I always think it's in good nature. However, the story for this episode of The Simpsons isn't that great. It's an okay episode. There are some inaccuracies, and I will point those out. In general, I probably wouldn't watch it again, but it wasn't too bad. This is the 8th episode of the 35th season of The Simpsons. This is directed by Matthew Nastuk, and as always, there will be spoilers as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it starts off with social dancing at school, and the boys don't want to get cooties from the girls, so Bart gets some band-aids from the closet, thinking if they put them on their hands, the cooties won't be able to transfer. It turns out they're nicotine patches, and the kids go a little bit crazy. Bart ends up getting a detention with Willie. Before we move on with the story of Willie, we also have a long series of clips of Homer complaining about destination weddings. I'm completely on Homer's side here. I think they're incredible. I've never been on one, but the idea of going on one is absolutely horrendous. And I think they're incredibly selfish. You are allowed to be selfish on your wedding day, but you can't expect people to drop everything and fork out thousands of pounds or dollars to go to a destination wedding. So I'm with Homer on that one. Willie has then gone missing, and he sends a video to Bart from Edinburgh, and Bart realises they have to go and save him. So instead of going to the destination wedding they were meant to be going to, the Simpsons fly to Edinburgh instead. And it turns out that actually it's a destination wedding. Willie is getting married to his long-lost love, Maisie, who's voiced by Karen Gillan. We also have David Tennant voicing a character, which made me rather happy. And the bulk of this is exploring their love while Lisa explores Edinburgh. There are some inaccuracies with that, which I'll talk about at the end. And for the bulk of this, nothing happens. But then, a few things do happen. Bart finds out that the wedding is actually fake. Well, it's a real wedding, but Maisie, in theory, doesn't love him. The family are just using Willie because he can sniff out a peat bog, which it seems like a really ridiculous thing, but whatever makes them happy. And Bart has to find a way to stop the wedding, but it's not that straightforward. Meanwhile, Marge doesn't think Homer is romantic, and Homer wants to prove her wrong. That part of it was quite sweet. I didn't mind it. And ultimately, the way the episode ends is with the wedding. Bart stops the wedding, but then Maisie proves her love to Willie in a very violent way. I didn't mind it. I didn't care for it, but it was fine. And then actually the last few minutes it's just a song with some clips, and it definitely is a way of saying, hey, we didn't have enough material for a full episode, so here's a random montage instead. And I found it incredibly boring. So the episode as a whole, not great actually, but the change of location, I guess, was okay. We do have some inaccuracies, as I said. The big one, and maybe they could work around this one, but I don't think the argument for this being fair is actually what they intended. But if somebody wants to prove me wrong, that's fine. Lisa said that she ate a Scotch egg, and then she said she regretted it. And my first thought was, yeah, they're not very nice. Well, they can be. If it's a good Scotch egg, they can be very nice, but often they can just be very chewy, and it's an acquired taste. And I thought, that's why Lisa doesn't like it. And then I thought, hang on, Scotch eggs have sausage meat. Why was she eating sausage meat? And one could argue the whole that she regretted it part meant that she regretted eating it because it's meat. But I don't think that. I don't think Lisa is stupid enough to eat something as a vegetarian without first knowing what it is that she's eating. So I think that's a tremendous oversight. I don't think they took the time to work out what's in a Scotch egg. The other thing that I think is also an oversight is the fact that Lisa was going to a bunch of Fringe shows, and Edinburgh Fringe takes place in August. And just before this, Bart was at detention, so it's definitely during school time. And as far as I can tell, even if American schools went back at the end of August, and let's say this took place at the beginning of term time, there wouldn't have been enough time for them to get to the Fringe. So that time period also doesn't work well. And that's also an oversight. There might have been other inaccuracies that I didn't pick up on, but when you're trying to portray a certain culture, at least do the smallest bit of research, because it's very annoying otherwise. But that didn't really affect my overall enjoyment. It's irritating, but it doesn't affect the story. That being said, the story isn't great. They definitely just thought, we want to set it in Edinburgh, or maybe we want to tell a story about Willie. Let's make it a little bit ridiculous. So it's not great. None of the episodes, very few of the episodes in this season, have been very good. It's not a great season so far. I think 1 or 2 of the episodes have been okay, but 8 episodes in, I'd say, off the top of my head, 75% of them have been pretty poor. So we'll see what it's like going forward. I do consider myself to be a fan of the latest seasons of The Simpsons. I know a lot of people do not like the last couple of seasons and think that the show has gone downhill, an opinion to which they're absolutely entitled. I haven't felt that. But actually, I'm starting to feel that. Hopefully things will pick up, but for now I can say A Bonny Romance needed a little bit more research, but otherwise, although boring, it's not necessarily a bad episode. There are some okay moments, but in general, it's not exactly that interesting.